Well, it's interesting. I mean, we've done so many webcasts with audio only, and there is virtue, I think, in audio only. It kind of encourages people to focus on the conversation and not the visuals. But I have to say, personally, I find it just much more engaging to watch people, and even the interaction changes a little bit. You can see people's reactions. In our EdTech Weekly, we can kind of see when each other is rolling our eyes or nodding off.
Ah, well, that's the other thing you see. You can't tell if I've just snoozed off.
Yeah, well, I've got two computers here, so I could be on the other computer doing other things, and Jeff has 4 or 5 of them going. I don't know.
I've got 2 computers, 3 monitors, a laptop standing by if necessary. So Stephen can hear us on the stream. Stephen, if you want, feel free to come to the Hangout. It'll be a couple seconds delayed, but you can hear us on the stream and chime in.
Where is Stephen?
He's in the EdTech Talk chat room.
No, I'm sorry. Geographically, not cyberly.
I believe he's in Halifax. I'll send you that link momentarily, Stephen.
Moncton?
Moncton, yes.
I actually met somebody from Moncton who asked me, he was at a TESOL conference, and he wanted to know about my advice on e-learning. And I said, man, you've got the guru of e-learning right there in Moncton, and he didn't even know about him. So, of course, I told him all about Stephen. I have no idea if he went to see Stephen. But anyway, that was at a TESOL conference. It's the only person I've ever met personally who was from Moncton. He looks pretty normal, actually.
What are you implying?
Nothing. I mean, yeah, I don't have a lot of data. I have Stephen, and I have this other guy.
Does everyone in Moncton look like Stephen?
I don't know. Could be.
So, how was everyone's MOOC week or Cool week? Have you been tuning to Change or anything else?
Yeah. I think Kate and I have both been following Change. Of course, it's ambivalent as to whether we're in week 1 now or because we were in week 0, but all the URLs are coming out week 2. So, and that's there's something in about 3 hours, I think. They're having their first live event.
90
2
minutes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 90 minutes.
Stephen, if one of the he's troubleshooting his audio. One thing I found about Hangouts, when you go to your settings and you try to adjust your microphone and speakers, the settings don't take. But I found if I go to my Gmail page and go to Google Chat settings and change them there, they will take. Stephen,
Hello
how's it
again.
going?
And I'm still not hearing from the Hangout. And I'm using Google Chrome even. I was hearing it just fine on live stream.
I don't know if you heard.
The last I heard from you, Jeff, was the settings don't take. I
Yeah.
can confirm that.
Because like when you're in the Hangout and you try to change the settings, it won't work. But if you go to I go there from Gmail and go to Google Chat and
That's
click
weird.
the little chat settings on my Gmail page, and that takes you to a page of settings. And for whatever reason, when I change them there, they take.
And I think, next Sunday, Jeff, you're still planning to come and tell us all about Google Plus, Google Hangouts, and
Yes.
how you record these things?
And please just keep reminding me.
I'm not going to be there. I've got a class right at that time that you've scheduled it. That's a bummer. But I get the recording.
I'm open to rescheduling an hour or two.
Well, I don't know. Dennis is setting it, so it's okay. I'll get the recording, and I've got the guy right here if I want to know anything. It's all in the network.
Sans Vance.
Yeah.
It seems to be
But
changing daily. I saw another headline today that they've Well, now it's open, right? It's no longer invite only. That was
is correct.
yesterday. And then I think I saw something else. But I thought that that ed tech talk of last week was very enlightening about the pros and cons of using switch to YouTube.
Yeah, this is another little Hangout function. When someone starts watching YouTube, you can switch to what they're watching, so you can watch the YouTube together. In this case, I don't know, maybe Steven's getting bored and just wanted to check out something on YouTube.
Anyway, I thought it was interesting the reactions that the various people were having to Google. I think it's easy and intuitive, but other people were saying it's not, I guess.
I agree. I mean, Dave's criticism was, everything Google does is for geeks, and I agree. I mean, Wave was brilliant, but just not user-friendly. I think Google Plus is pretty user-friendly now, and I think all the stuff that people are saying, oh, they need to do this and they need to do that, they're listening, and they're adapting pretty quickly. I mean, we're not to day 100 yet, and it's getting more and more robust, and I don't find it very difficult to use.
Yeah, I notice Paul Allison is using it now for his teachers teaching teachers, and recording. I guess just out of curiosity, I know you're going to talk about it next Sunday, but do you do the patch with the cord to record on a separate computer?
No virtual audio cables. This is pretty straightforward. This is on Windows 7, and Windows 7 lets you. I have a USB mic that's separate from my regular speakers, and I basically set my audio to capture. Yep, that'll do it. To set my audio to hear my audio and everyone else's audio, and Screencast-O-Matic record, live stream record. It's gotten much less painful. And one of the announcements they made yesterday is that they're going to start facilitating streaming and recording, I believe. First, they're going to make it kind of I think Will.i.am is unveiling it sometime today.
I love him.
He's great.
I love him. He's doing this. He's doing this, leading this whole technology is cool movement in the U.S. And he's joined with the fellow that does an annual technology Super Bowl for geeks, students K through 12, and they get together and they design robots and that sort of thing. And he's helping to really promote that. And this has nothing to do with anything except for if you're in my world of TESOL. But I watched it the other day, and it was mostly, upper middle class white kids, very few minorities. So I hope he can recruit minorities. I have one thing to say, if I may, to Muddy Bunny, and talking about Google and using this video. I forced myself to use it because I think somebody left. We really did bore him. It must be something really interesting on YouTube. I forced myself to do the video because I think it's really important for distance learning, particularly with my target group as English language learners that like to look at the mouth and to predict the language. But also I find, and I'll mention this Vance because we talked a little bit about comparing some online courses that I've been taking versus Vance's. And Vance is the only one that has had weekly live meetings. All the other courses have been totally asynchronous, text-based, and a lot of times the student feedback is they don't feel connected. So that's just my point about this thing today, this MOOC. Is this going to be the same format, this blue button? Are we going to all see one another, or is it going to be like EdTech where everybody's talking,
it's
chatting?
a little bit more like Illuminate or DimDim, if you've used that, where there's a presentation option. There'll be one person presenting. I think a whole bunch of people can be there at the same time and raise their hands and ask questions, which, I like to trash Illuminate because I don't like them as a company before they got bought out or after they bought out, and I feel like they don't play nicely, although those that get free ones are bigger fans. But DimDim was a really nice, kind of open source alternative, and Big Blue Button's a nice alternative. It's just the bottom line is they don't work quite as well as Blackboard. But what you were saying, Kate, raised a couple of thoughts, MOOC related. One, in the flow of content this week in Change MOOC, was the idea of a language learning MOOC. Kind of bring this kind of open online learning stuff, which I think has huge potential. The other one is, since the topic this week is mobile learning, one of the add-ons now, or the additions to the Google Plus Hangout, is being able to participate mobile. So that if someone had their Google Plus app on their iPhone or their Android phone, they could join this Hangout now, which is pretty cool.
So Big Blue Marker records it like Illuminate does, or DimDim? No, I'm not sure. Does DimDim just record? I guess it does, doesn't it?
I believe it does, and I think Big Blue Button records. Stephen.
DimDim. DimDim's gone. DimDim's no longer.
Oh.
I used to use, when I had a few clients for Second Life, and my job was to teach the teachers and give orientation. So part of my contract is I signed up with Go to Life, which is $50 a month, quite expensive. But it was one of the first, and it's very stable, screen sharing. And then I saw DimDim, which was half the price. Signed up for it, and then the end of last year they announced to everyone that they would not accept any more subscriptions, that they were being bought out, and news would follow, and that was 6 months ago. I like DimDim fine for the price and for what you could do.
And Hangouts are already kind of integrating Google Docs and presentations. So, you're still going to be limited to 10, but if you can stream it out, it achieves some of the functionality. So what would a language learning MOOC look like?
Chaotic, I think.
Wouldn't every MOOC?
I don't know. Actually, I haven't sent it yet, but I was writing a post to the Multiliteracies group, and it's kind of about I'm the people who are participating in the course, and being a MOOC, should be crowdsourced knowledge, and so instead of having a teacher prescribe the way the course is going to go, I'm trying to. Kate said she would follow my lead, for example, in one of her messages, but I really want to follow her lead and anybody else who's participating. And I think one of the things that is in common with all the postings that the participants are doing, the few that are participating overtly, we have about half a dozen, I suppose. That's a minuscule open online course. And they're all practically oriented. For example, one of the participants is trying e-portfolios with her students, and Kate has a lot of practical, she's always bringing up special needs students, so I think she's very interested in how multiliteracies relates to her students. I'm teaching a writing course, which I'm applying some of these principles, not the MOOC ones. I mean, it's not like a MOOC. I can't quite get that radical here in the UAE, but still, I think that some of this is taking and sort of jumping into mainstream, so why not? Oh, and as editor of the TESOL EJ, we just published an article. It's just gone online. I'm sure I can grab its URL. Oh, I think I scooped it. I scooped it for sure. I don't think I tweeted it. I put it on Delicious. So anyway, okay. So I'll find it and I'll place it in the text chat. And it's about a guy who is constructing a learning management system through Web2 tools. And he's emulating learning management systems, but all through Web2 tools. And he's also related it to Gagne's 9 events of learning. So it has a nice rationale behind it. And so I thought we'd kind of go with that, because it's very practical as well as how you do what we're trying to do in the MOOC, explore the Web 2 tools, and then develop something that creates a learning environment. So, and I think that's what MOOCs do, basically.
Now, Lynn, you do English online learning stuff as well, yes? That's your thing.
It is what I've ended up doing. Yeah, I used to teach English in what I call the real world, and lots of reasons I decided to stop doing that. But I had already created some learning stuff for my students in the real world, not realizing what might happen, and the World Wide Web kind of took it over. So now I run that, and I do my other stuff that's money related. So I basically help people with their English for free, and I try and get them to move into other ways of learning, self-managed learning, if you like, to steal Ian Cunningham's lovely phrase.
And has playing around with MOOCs and all these social media communities changed what you do in real life or otherwise?
I honestly say I'd only heard of a MOOC a couple of weeks ago. I didn't realize it was called a MOOC, but I guess I've been MOOCing for a while without knowing it. I mean, I think it's fabulous. I think social networking, it's a way of getting students, learners, to move away from being so dependent on being taught and starting to become independent learners, if you like. I mean, I've nothing against courses, I've nothing against structured learning, that's great, but that ability to then take it and practice with it and play with it and enjoy it and lose your fear of being wrong all the time, that's where social networking, I think, comes to its own.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the great lesson, in MOOCs. And like you say, I think we've been MOOCing all along. A lot of us have. Some of these communities, like Jeff, for example, he's a great MOOCer, starting back in whenever World. And we met him through our own MOOCing about webheads. And I believe Stephen even came and gave a talk at one of our conferences. So that was 2005, I think. So that was 3 years before MOOCs officially started. But basically, they were MOOCs. They were all forming these huge communities that had, hundreds of people, and we're learning from one another and not really calling it anything. We were calling it communities of practice, or and as Stephen has written, groups, communities, networks. So we're going through these stages and not really sure what to call ourselves. And now we've sort of hit on MOOC, except that that's passé now. That was so last week. Now it's cool. Now we're being cool here. Yeah, I like that one best.
I'm sorry Stephen wasn't here. We haven't had a chance to talk about the collaboration versus cooperation face-to-face yet, but
I'd also like to ask Stephen about Grasshopper, because I think that is how he is aggregating the content. So I had to look at the Grasshopper website, and it's got code there, so the code is open. I mean, but I don't know how to use it. I don't know how to. I haven't really. Do you have any idea how do you adapt this code to your own courses? I think maybe it's there. Maybe I just haven't gotten deeply enough. I think that's the idea, huh?
Because I wondered the same thing, and after our last COOLCast, I went looking for it, and he has video. Did you watch the videos or the?
No, I haven't got that deeply into it yet. I just because of the weekly MOOC letters that come out, that had the link for Grasshopper at the bottom, and actually I've delicioused it some long time ago, but. So now I'm starting to think that's actually the tool that I've been dreaming about. The one that was like Technorati, that does the aggregations, on tags and produces interesting results.
I could see that working for the webheads also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean,
for
the
anything.
webheads really are just this big, long, ongoing MOOC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cluster where you like and have some events occasionally.
Yeah, and Kate mentioned some differences between my course and the others, one being Vance, I suppose, but I think she's talking about the TESOL principles and practices of online teaching.
Yes, I apologize. I
But
forgot.
yeah, but another difference is that my course, or our course, I should say, creates a community, and it's actually been kind of essential. It's really come into its own because, as it's turned out, we only really have 2 active participants, and if you were running the course in a traditional means, you'd have a class of 3 people, which could be interesting if you really, except that you really need a community in order to discuss the issues and to drive the learning in the direction that people, whatever they're comfortable in. So because this course runs with the tag EVOMLIT, it's got a lot of stuff there in the tag already, and it just kind of rolls over. It keeps the community going, and the community joins the course. So actually, we've got, like I said, about half a dozen participants who are actually doing things, and posting, which is really nice because these people are doing it because they like the course, or they just are in the mood for learning at the moment. So so there you are. I guess that's, so if you have a tag that's been around for a while, and something, and you were sort of operating on your tag, then obviously Grasshopper is something you want. And then we used to do writing matrix a long time ago. But that one was working when Technorati was working. We were getting at tags, but that's the practical application. You'd take a class of students, writing students. Well, a class of students, you have them blog, they tag their posts, whatever it is your class tag is. In our case, it was writing matrix, and then people are able to find each other all around the world, because students from other countries, and some of them did it by plan. They had their students blog, and they had their students tag their posts writing matrix, and they found each other's posts. But we also had had teachers say, well, once we sort of publicized it, oh, okay, I'll try it. Oh, it works, So you actually have a way for students to connect through a tag, just like we do in the MOOC, or like people are doing in Change MOOC, for example.
And that's the kind of thing where, you can have the big open public tag, so anyone can post it. There's always the potential for tag pollution, if any tag, but you also have the option for bundling. You can, like what the Change MOOC is doing. Stephen has a list of all the blogs. He's created a bundle, or an OPML of it. So what I did was take that OPML and import it into my Google Reader and put everyone into a Change 11 MOOC. So now I created my little Change 11 page this week. I'll toss that into the chat room. And also the bundled, for me, this is the kind of the easiest way to kind of check out the latest blogs.
Yeah, that's good. Where do you get that OPML file?
It's on the Change MOOC somewhere. If you look for blogs.
Well, what if I wanted to get one for EVOMLIT? Would I be generating one somehow?
What you would need to do is to subscribe. I mean, that's not tag based.
Yes.
You actually say, I want all these blogs, and it's actually a person's blog. You could filter a blog by tag, I believe, if you wished.
Well,
so if you wanted to not subscribe to the whole blog, but you just wanted to subscribe to posts from that blog that are tagged writing matrix or whatever, you could add that RSS instead of the other.
Yes, well, that was the idea. That was that's exactly the idea for connecting writing students, or connecting anybody in a project. That you're looking for the tagged posts, and well, that puts you into people's blogs. But what you've done is you've got the OPML file. Not sure exactly. I'm not clear exactly where it came from, but it must.
I just put that link in. It's change.mooc/ca/feeds.htm.
Okay. That's the RSS for Change MOOC, and that gave you. They gave you all the blogs, or
Yes, because that's what Stephen has created. Like he has submit your blog. So anyone who's blogging about change says, "Hey, here's my blog," or "Here's my blog and my tag." He adds that RSS feed and puts them all together in the OPNL.
Okay. Yes, yes, that's right. You registered. I remember that. I think we've done this before. I didn't really pay attention this time, but yeah. So you register your blog if you want to be followed. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Or listed. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's okay. There's a nice concept within. So is that what Grasshopper does? Is it takes the registered blogs, or does it go out and find tags in Sitio or Vitro?
I don't know. My guess would be it could do either. I think it's all RSS based, so it could be a whole blog, it could be a tag, and then there's some selection feature. My guess, I don't know what it looks like. My guess is like he gets a whole bunch of things and he checks what he wants to publish. It's too bad Stephen's not here.
Stephen, come back! We want to pick your brain, man. Yeah.
How many people are registered for this Change MOOC so far? I'm getting a little. I registered, and now I'm getting nervous about trying to keep up with all the readings and everything. So the RSS sounds like a good solution, but if you have 100 a day.
Well, the first thing I think they say is don't expect to, follow everything. But then the question is, how do you choose? How do you find what you want to follow? On the Facebook group, someone's saying, hey, I think we should keep our posts here short. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard to keep up. And other people said, well, yeah, but...
I see he's generating a newsletter, which is helpful. That's a lot of work on his end, unless it's all, is that all aggregated for him? I mean, that's a lot of work on his part.
Most of it. The stuff at the bottom is aggregated, yeah. So he's very good at writing scripts that produce newsletters. That's actually what the OL Daily is, I think. He actually had an interesting video one time because he went on vacation, or he went off, he had to do something, and he got people to come in and do the fill in the script for him. So he produced a video to show how his workflow goes. Did you see that, Jeff?
I might have. And what it works, how it works basically, he has downs.ca, and throughout the day he's posting, he finds a blog post, he says, okay, post that, writes a little paragraph description, and he does that all day, and then every 24 hours he says, send out everything I did.
Yeah, he's got a little form, and he fills out the fields, the URL, and and like you say, he writes up something, which is always writing about the things that he does, annotates it, and then hits go, and it's like you say, at some point it all gets aggregated. But basically, he just takes notes, and then it comes out in the kind of paperly format or whatever that he's got it doing. So I think the best way to do Changebook is just come to the Hangouts. There's only 3 people, and or 4. Sorry, Lynne. Sorry to forget you. You're not visible there. But,
you mean the cool Hangouts?
Yeah. They're very manageable. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been an interesting evolution for me because, as I've mentioned before, the last couple of courses I've taken in this TESOL certificate, I've accelerated it in order to finish in November. So I was doubling courses, and everyone's averaged about 10 different applications and 10 different new ways of doing things. So for the last 6 weeks, I've been exposed to a lot. But what I've noticed is now it's time to really scale back on my RSS and on my news feeds and repurpose them. And it's interesting. It's sort of like a social media maturity that's happened. It's hard to explain. I started out, my first social media was Second Life, and I got used to communities of groups there. and education groups and sharing and that sort of thing. And learning about the MOOCs is perfect because, trying to do your own thing and freelance and business, I can dip in and dip out. But it's an enormous amount of new sets of readings. And so in order for me to just not have my head explode, I've been spending the last couple of days scaling back my tweet following people, and now if I do this change MOOC, I definitely am going to have to scale back on a lot of my RSS, because I'm finding I can spend an hour and a half just reading my RSS, and that's really becoming a problem.
I don't know if it's a matter of scaling back or filtering, and whether it's a Google Plus circle or a Twitter list, finding the people whose posts, when you read them, you feel like, oh, okay, I want to stay tuned to them, and putting them in their own little list or circle helps make it more digestible. But for me, I'm not going to spend that much time reading. I would much rather try to get people who know stuff together and listen to them talk. So that's, I guess, partially why I do this. Speaking of Second Life, this past weekend, the SL Languages conference was the most time I had spent in World in quite a while. And, I was kind of impressed how far things have come in some ways. The web integration into Second Life is much better than it used to be, but it also seems like the same barriers of entry that were there 5 years ago are still the same barriers of entry. And I don't know, it's got potential.
I'm very furious about that. It's 5 years down the way, they should be much better. I tried to get on this morning to do something simple and crashed 3 times, and it was like the old dial-up, and it's like, please. I was very disappointed, and the interesting thing, I don't want to get into a whole Second Life conversation because it's on so many levels. It's like how to run a new startup and how to run an IT company when you're at the top. But I was hopeful this new CEO, and they had their Second Life community convention, and the CEO didn't even try to bridge the in-world community. A tremendous amount of avatars showed up and watched it stream on a prem, and it's almost like they don't believe that they're doing it. And I hate to say anything negative, Muddy, but I've been to 3 or 4 of the conferences, and the Second Life community conferences, they constantly crash. So Linden Lab, I mean, I don't know. There's the barriers are not any better, and they're not lowering their prices. I'm very frustrated with them because the technology and the potential, and particularly for language learning, is so terrific. But I've had so many heartaches and ups and downs trying to use it to get other classes and programs started, and it's such a put off for so many teachers.
Has anybody used Minecraft? I'm just hearing a lot about it. I haven't. Seems very popular with and very adaptable with younger students and their teachers and their parents. You heard of it?
Heard of it, have not used it. Are some of those barriers to entry lower, and if so, how?
Don't know. Because I listen to the EdTech crew quite a lot, and they're really into. They're sitting there in Australia, and they're connected because it's a big country, and they're really into games. It seems like they have a little bit of time to sit in their isolated farmhouses or sheds. There was one. They were sitting in a shed one time. And it was swarms of locusts coming in, kind of like Jeff in his basement. Can you imagine Jeff in? So you can imagine them. Anyway, it's no telling about the alligators and the crocodiles or whatever. But so it seems that they have time, to play around with games and get into. They're really big gamers, and they're very interesting. And I like what Graham Stanley does with games, and of course the language is partly about games. I mean, well, it's not really. I mean, it's kind of a gamer mentality, but I mean, building things and having people create their own worlds is very Mookie because it's very constructivist and lets people take their learning in a direction they want to go. So, I think it's kind of disappointing that. Well, there are some disappointments with Second Life, but then Randall Sadler is an incredibly interesting character. I guess you're familiar with a lot of the things he's done?
Just from kind of what I saw this past weekend. And I was also I was impressed by Cypress Chat. They seem to have done a nice job of building community. And it's free, which is not that common, I guess, in Second Life. I guess Language Lab has been the big, the Microsoft of Second Life language education. That's not fair to compare them to Microsoft, but they're well funded. Vance, did we lose your audio? No.
Oh, I don't think so.
No.
Oh, I was playing around. Oh, I clicked on the text chat button, but then I realized I should put the text chat. I was looking for a place to put this URL. Here we go.
And Stephen, thank you for trying to come back. We were talking about you a lot and had all sorts of grasshopper questions, so we just made up answers, and I bet they weren't as good as the answers you could have given. And I'm wondering if we want to move on and give Big Blue Button a try. Kick the tires a little bit before the live session.
Can we keep multiple windows open, or was it going to... I'm sorry, Vance. Is it going to disengage our our ability to talk to one another?
Maybe. Let's find out.
It's scary.
Well,
That was my question.
Jeff and I'll just be using our other computers.
I'm going to lose my techno expert help here if we get disconnected. Okay, so we're all just going to go on and try the link that Vance gave. I'll try the link you put in this morning, Vance.
No.
Guess so.
For the Big Blue Button?
Yes, he put in one for us.
Because
I see this.
There weren't any listed there. I just created one.
Okay. I think she's
Stephen
talking about the one
too.
the one that they're using in a couple of hours. The one they're using in 1 hour. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you get the page of meetings, but you have to create the meeting. So if you go to the page that I just put in the text chat.
Okay.
Which one?
The last one, Change MOOC.
Change
event
MOOC,
meetings.
okay, because Stephen put something up there too. He put in the MOOC meetings.
Yeah,
okay,
you can.
Must
It's
be the
also
same
on
thing.
the side menu there. If you click Live Meetings, it'll take you there.
Okay. Now, I have it join meeting because I'm already registered. Now, I wondered about this yesterday. Do I have to create a join meeting or just hit join meeting?
Just join meeting. If you do you see COOLCast?
Yes.
Join that meeting.
Oh, I did.
Okay,
And big
let's
button's
see.
loading. There we go. We're all there.
And we're still hanging out.
Yeah.
And we haven't broken the internet yet.
And I'm still in the live stream.
Oh, yeah, I could toggle back and forth, but I don't see a presentation.
You have to activate your microphone and your webcam there by clicking on the little webcam icon or the speaker icon.
You have to be registered with Change MOOC, in which case you have to use your Change MOOC ID. Is that your name?
To create a meeting, yes. To join a meeting, no.
Okay.
So let's see. I have my other mic here.
Oof. I've just been attacked by a cat. Ow!
Oh,
Don't
no.
let my dog
My
see
cat's so
this.
jealous of my computer.
Okay, so
I
was that the real cat
Yeah,
or was that you,
right.
Vance?
have
I've
land in
got my
Florida to
headset
tell
on.
you, too. Can you all hear me? No.
Yes, we hear you fine.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah,
show
yeah.
me activated. I don't... Oh, I'm coming through Google. What's your beautiful cat's name? He's very handsome.
I heard you in the Big Blue Button, Lynne.
I don't have mic on this computer. Oh, so the same mic, we can play out the same mic, you think?
That I'd be surprised.
Yeah, okay, I'll have to find a mic.
Yes, I
But
can hear
anyway,
you.
but you can hear me in
No, that
Big
was
Blue Button?
Kate. I think I could hear.
Okay. Let me go get a mic. I'll be back in a sec. Hang on.
Okay.
I got another mic somewhere.
So, can I just ask a question, a sort of techie question?
Certainly.
We're now in Hanging Out. We're streaming live, and we are in the MOOC Big Blue Button. Can the people on live stream, I've lost that window, can they see the Big Blue Button or just this Hangout?
As of now, no, but as of now, yes. I am moving, because what I do with the live stream basically is I just capture a portion of my screen. And so now I've moved that portion of my screen into what I'm capturing on live stream so it can be seen.
Okay. I found live stream again. I've got too many windows open. Okay, I can see.
Now that's interesting.
No,
I
I can
just
still see
got
the Hangout.
And it gives you that little, you are the only person in the conference apparently if you're the only person whose mic is active.
Oh, okay. Yes, I can now see the MOOC chat thing. What do you call it? Window.
Whoa. And to those who might be watching on the live stream and are seeing some kind of psychedelic phenomenon, apologies. For some reason, this happens whenever I try to play with my volume mixer.
This is very equipment intensive. I have to have a headset with a microphone, which I'm not using, and the USB mic. And now I need another mic for the Big Blue Button. Okay.
And for some reason, Big Blue Button has not been playing nicely on my main machine. On my old machine, it does okay, but on this one, not so much.
Okay, I'm talking through Google Chat. I hit my headset. Oh, look at this. I hit my headset, but only until I unmuted my mic on Google Chat did my speaker and Blue Button show.
See, now, I hear you in both, because I've got two headsets on. So I hear you in our Hangout. I also hear you in Big Blue Button. But one of the things about Big Blue Button is like audio comes in and out. There's a waviness to it. And I don't know if it's user error or, a setting or just that's the way it is. That's where it's at right now.
Let's see. What do I have to do?
So if we bookmark this now, at the start of the thing, we can just come here, or are we going to have to relog back in?
If you go to the meetings page, no, you'll have to relog in.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Because this is your presentation.
Yes, this is my meeting.
So how will we find the...
You'll go to the
other meeting.
meetings page, and it should be listed there.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm coming through on both of them, right?
I
I'm
don't know
hearing
if
all kinds of things.
I definitely hear Kate in both. I've heard Lynne in Big Blue Button. Vance, I don't know if I've heard you.
Okay. Here's a Big Blue Button Hangout test. I should be appearing in some kind of lag in stereo, more
Yeah,
or less.
I'm not hearing you in
Sort
the
of
Hangout.
warped. Oh, I'm not hearing.
Oh, wait a
Sure,
second.
you are.
I
Aha.
hear you now. You talk about lag. That was like a good 5-second lag.
Yeah, this is the blue button. You hear?
Oh, and I hear myself too.
This is the Hangout.
All right, well, at this point, my computer has said, what are you doing? Why are you doing this to me? Things are frozen. I get pop-up messages everywhere. So, congratulations to us. We broke stuff, and I feel like, if you're not breaking it, you're not trying hard enough. But why don't we go ahead and wrap up our COOLCast and our hangout, and perhaps we can loiter in Big Blue Button or move on. It's getting close to bedtime here in Korea. But thank you very much.
So you're not gonna do the
He's
Well-
going to take his He's going to take his Android to bed with him. Don't worry. He'll be there.
It's coming up on midnight here in Korea. I teach tomorrow at 11, but I've got an online course starting at 7 a.m. Friday my time.
all right.
So
well,
I'm going to
we'll
be up
fill
actually
you
working
in.
on stuff. We'll see. If I'm up at 2 a.m. and feeling like, well, I got to see how it's going, I may pop in.
All right. Well, according to my calculations, it's a whole nother hour.
That is correct.
Yes. Well, okay. Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Nice to meet you, Muddy Bunny. See you in Second Life.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.